I will call to order tonight's joint meeting with the Lincoln County Planning Board and the Board of Commissioners on this 10th day of March of 2025. If you would, please join and stand with me for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved, sir.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Cecina. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda is adopted. I will entertain a motion now to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
All right. We've got a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. So the consent agenda is approved. We will move now to the public hearing. So we're moving to the public zoning. For the first case, the Planning Board and the Commissioners will hold the joint hearing. At the conclusion of the hearing, the Planning Board will deliberate and bring a recommendation back to the Board on March the 17th at 6:30. And at this time, I will call on Megan Gilbert to give some information concerning zoning cases.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So tonight we will be hearing both quasi-judicial matters and legislative matters. A legislative hearing is a forum for expressing public opinion about a project. The quasi-judicial hearing is considered an evidentiary hearing where the board must make a finding of fact as enumerated in the Unified Development Ordinance. And most importantly, these findings must be based on competent, substantial, and material evidence in the record. Anyone wishing to speak at a quasi-judicial hearing must have standing under law and must be sworn in. So I need to confirm that no board members before us tonight have a conflict of interest in regards to the cases. No member shall participate in or vote in a manner that would violate the applicant's constitutional rights to an impartial decision maker. Impermissible violations of due process include a member having a fixed opinion prior to hearing that is not susceptible to change, undisclosed ex parte communications prior to any quasi-judicial hearing, a close familial, business, or other associational relationship with the applicant, or a financial interest in the outcome of the matter. Does any board member on either board have such a conflict? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and after the applicant presents their information concerning the case, individuals who have signed up will be called upon to speak. If you are speaking for yourself, you will get 3 minutes. If you're speaking for a group, you will get 5, and you will be asked to have your group stand and represent yourself and for the group to get that 5 minutes. So we'll start off with Josh.
Good evening, Commissioners, members of the Planning Board. The first case this evening is ZMA number 746. This is, as you're well aware, related to the rezoning of the parcels around the shift of the county line. The applicant is Lincoln County and is requesting an initial zoning of 86 parcels. The parcels are zoned in Catawba County currently, and this will mark the zoning of them for the first time in Lincoln County. They're currently zoned in Catawba County as general industrial, heavy commercial, and multiple residential districts that are similar to ours, and will be moving to our districts, which are general business, industrial general, rural residential, residential suburban, residential single family, and residential transitional. The subject properties are located along the reestablished Catawba County-Lincoln County line in all 5 townships of the county. The zoning district conversions were designated based on the surrounding zoning and the land uses in the area to create conformity of the districts. Land uses in this area include industrial, business, residential, and agricultural uses. You have all exhibits in your packet. We tried to make those concise, but all 86 parcels are reflected in your packet, and staff's statement of consistency and reasonableness are also included, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Does anyone have any questions for Josh? Okay, at this time, I will open the public hearing for ZMA 746, Lincoln County Planning and Inspections. I do not have anyone signed up to speak on this matter. So I have a gentleman raising his hand right here.
Can I speak?
Yes, sir.
All right. I've never been to one of these before.
Okay. If you would state your name and address.
So my name's Russ Granger, 4501 Gilbert Road in Vale. Gilbert Road.
Okay.
Lincoln County calls it Lincoln Gilbert, which is part of the problem. And I talked to a couple of you folks already about this topic, so I get 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Here's my first question, okay? This change doesn't affect me that much. Go ahead and do it, and I appreciate all you guys doing the hard work. Here's where I got a problem. How did we end up here in the first place? There was always a line. When I bought this property, I got a jagged line that was decided was the line. Okay, and when you guys sent the first parcels out, the straight line, the old line that you all decided was way up here. And I'm like, well, how did we get here? So systematically, all y'all, how do we prevent the same problem from occurring again? Because this is a lot of money. There's a lot of stress on you know, your constituents, if you will, the people, the taxpayers. So that's my first question. Can anybody explain to me how we're not going to do this again? I have another topic. Do you want me to come back for that one? Do I get another 3 minutes?
Is it relating to this case, or is it?
It's a different topic. It has to do with 911.
Go ahead.
Go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here's the second. This does affect me because I'm getting old, and if I call 911, I want the fastest emergency vehicle to get to my house. Well, guess what happens, guys? And we just had a real-life event last week. Okay, so my house exits, my driveway exits on Gilbert Road. The sign on the street's Gilbert Road. Lincoln County named my house Lincoln Gilbert Road because you already have a Gilbert Road. When I call 911, went over to Union Fire Department, they now finally have the 911 call in Lincoln County. Okay? But you get out to the road, there's no Lincoln Gilbert sign. It's Gilbert Road. Well, we're relying on GPS. Well, I did 2 out of 3 places in my GPS, and some of the GPS doesn't even take me to my road. Okay? So it's a unique problem just for me. Real life incident. My neighbor, we had a stray person on drugs, middle of the night, called on 911. He's just at the edge of my road. Okay? I'm sorry, sir. We got to transfer you to Catawba County. Catawba County gets it. He gives the address. I'm sorry, sir. That's Lincoln County. So the ping pong ball's going back and forth, and guess what? Nobody showed up. The girl walks down the street. Okay? And my neighbor's impacted. So people like me, these 86, this problem that I'm talking about was really there before the line changed. But I didn't really care too much because I was young. Now I care. And I think there's other people older than me that really, we need to look at it. People say, why, Mike, in the communication center, we're making notes. Okay, I'm an engineer. Notes don't mean anything to me. I want a system. There's got to be a way electronically, when I call 911, you know exactly where I'm at. You know exactly you're going on Gilbert Road, and you know exactly where my driveway is. That's what anybody like me is going to want. Thanks for listening.
Yes, sir. All right. Anyone else? Okay. I will close the public hearing.
All right, the next case is UDO Amendment 2025-1. Many of you remember last year when we adopted some uses in the use table and did some cleanup amendments. We put the recreational uses in the base districts and consolidated them into their own section. And this is simply acknowledging something very similar in the overlay district in Eastern Lincoln County in the ELDD, the Eastern Lincoln Development District. Essentially, you all put that same format into place with the last vote. Tonight's vote is more of which ones require special use permits, which ones require are allowed by right. And so we've done that in keeping with what was there previously, and this is a fairly standard amendment to the ordinance. It's nothing more than that.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Josh? All right. All right, so now I will open the public hearing for UDO 2025-1 Lincoln County Planning and Inspections applicant. All right, having no one signed up, I will close the public hearing for UDO 2025-1. And now we will move to the next case, WSSUP 39 Lake Norman Storage Partners LLC applicant. So, excuse me, we will adjourn for the, right now for the planning board, and then we'll go into the quasi judicial.
It only takes 2 minutes to get a cop over there, and then if Catawba County shows up, great. Somebody has to show up.
Okay, everyone ready to go into the quasi judicial cases?
Yes, sir.
All right, Josh?
Okay, this is the only quasi-judicial case for this evening. The applicant is Lake Norman Storage Partners, LLC, WSSUP number 39. What you may recall from this case is that it's already received an approval back in November of 22, and it was for self-storage on Highway 16. It's a 19.2 acre lot. They're about 500 feet south of the intersection with Cherry Point Drive. And so this application tonight is more of a formality for their watershed special use permit, which is they have to control the stormwater on the site if they go above 24% impervious. They've gone up to about 49%, and so they need this to put in a engineered stormwater control system to maintain the volume of water coming off the site as was pre-development. So Dan Brewer with Bowman Engineering is here tonight to speak on this, and staff as well as the engineer. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Josh?
No, I have some for that.
Okay, all right. So at this time, I will open the public hearing for WSSUP 39 Lake Norman Storage Partners, LLC. If you
Good
would
evening.
state.
Good evening. My name's Dan Brewer with Bowman Consulting. I'm the civil engineer for the project. I live at 526 Woodbury Drive in Mooresville. I didn't have much to add to the presentation other than I just wanted to show you the site plan. We're proposing 49% impervious, and the green area is all the landscaped and green space area. And just by comparison to the industrial site to the south, you can see there's a huge difference. Also, we've designed an underground stormwater detention system, and we've actually upsized it to handle the 25-year storm event. So any stormwater going off the site will be no more than what's going off of the pasture today. I also submitted proposed findings of fact, and we do believe that we meet those, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Dan, can you kind of explain to the public what an underground detention system is and how it functions? And also, I have another question in regards to that. After you explain that, do they have a contractor already set up to do the maintenance on that retention system? And
Yes, sir. Underground detention systems are, there's not many in Lincoln County. We do several in Mecklenburg, and Iredell has quite a few now. Basically, it's large plastic culverts covered in gravel, and it's underneath the parking, and all the stormwater goes in there, and basically it holds it like it's a huge bathtub. And it's done more so when you don't have enough room to do an outside pond. And the way the topo worked on the site, where the pond was going to go, that's where we need our septic system. So that's why we decided to do an underground system. But it basically holds the water back, and it lets it out very slowly over time. And they are required by the state to have a maintenance plan, and they have to be inspected annually by an engineer.
And I read everything that you put in here, and I appreciate because it's well-written, and it's relatively simple for me to understand. Someone who knows nothing about underground water, whatever. So the couple of questions I had were sent to me was, you're storing the water into the parking lot, you're not going to send it over into the lake? Is that correct?
It's not, yeah, it does
So
not
it's not
go
going to
direct
go
to
into
the
the
lake.
lake, directly
No.
into the lake? Okay. And so if it fails for some reason, will there be issues with the homes there on Lucky Creek that could wash into by chance?
No, and that's the main reason we designed it to drain to the south, because we didn't want to go towards the residential subdivision with any drainage. We have a 50-foot buffer along that whole residence there, and did not want to discharge any storm water onto that neighborhood.
Because the topo of that land, it goes down, and then as it gets closer to the lake, it goes pretty much almost at about a 45-degree angle up.
Yeah.
And so, the concern that many of the neighbors had was that because of that incline there might be some issues with the water flow, because we know which way it flows, it don't go uphill.
The site will be regraded where it all drains to one spot. And
Okay.
we've designed another component called a level spreader. And what that does, when water discharges out of the system, it spreads it out over a large area, so it just sheet flows, just like it would today in the pasture.
And does that take electricity, or does it just naturally do it?
It naturally does it, yeah.
Because that was my only concern. I'm concerned about the neighbors and their safety and the safety of the homes on Lucky Creek and not being washed away.
Yeah.
Because there's a big area there that's going to collect a lot of water, it seems to me.
Yes. Yeah, there's a stormwater system that's along this industrial site. It's got several catch basins, and it all collects everything through piping.
So the water, you're saying the water as it comes off the site, it will not come off any faster or any more concentrated than it already is?
It will be less than what's going off of it today.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
water coming onto the neighbors will be slower than?
Yes.
Okay.
And it'd be less water going on to the neighborhood to the north, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
That was my really only concern, is that we didn't end up with flooded houses.
Right. Anyone else have any questions for Dan?
Mr. Brewer, did you prepare the proposed findings of fact?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you wish to incorporate those as part of your testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Next on the list to speak is Stephen Williams. Okay, thank you. He said he answered all questions.
I got you.
All right.
So we're on the same page? Okay.
The third person, yes, sir.
My name is Ash Urazi. I'm at 8022 Blackwood Road. That's not Lucky Creek, but it's on the side here. And, we also have problems. I've been in the property for about 15 years, and over the past 15 years now, my backyard just gets flooded. So I'm encouraged by what the engineer has said. I hope that's true. I hope you guys will keep that in mind. And, because, all the water comes down to our yard. I think that's all I have to say.
And looking at that lot, and I was out there today for a while, and I walked it for a little bit today, I think the biggest problem on your road is because at the back end of that property, it climbs and the water comes back down and then goes to if I'm looking at left. And hopefully, this is going to resolve all of that if they regrade, and you won't be getting all that big water in your yard anymore.
Well, I
My
look
hope.
forward to that. I hope so, because, like I said, now, with the heavy rains, we're swimming in our backyard.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm good.
All right. Anyone else have any questions? Comments? Okay. There being no additional speakers, I will declare the public hearing closed, and I will entertain a motion to approve the findings of fact as submitted by the applicant.
So moved, sir.
Okay?
Go ahead.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cecina. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. I will entertain a motion to approve WSSUP 39 Lake Norman Storage Partners LLC based on the findings of fact.
So moved, sir.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Cecina. Any discussion? All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. So the ayes have it, and the applicant is approved. Thank y'all. Okay, well, now we will move on to the public hearing for Cleveland Gaston Lincoln Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025 update. Mark Howe.
Good evening, Mark Howe, Lincoln County Emergency Management Coordinator, here to present for a public hearing, I believe, first, right? The Cleveland Gaston Lincoln Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025 update.
Yep, we are having a public hearing. So I will now open the public hearing for the Cleveland Gaston Lincoln Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. And I do not have anyone signed up to speak. Does anyone in the room want to speak to this matter? Okay, I will close the public hearing. If you want to share your plan.
Yes, Commissioners. I think you all received a link to the plan, or at least that we tried to get you a link to the plan. The plan is an extensive plan. It took us a year and 2 months approximately to begin the process of review and then crafting the update to the plan. The plan, as you well know, probably is 875 pages long. We were assisted by North Carolina Emergency Management in development of the plan. And the plan, our primary focus is for Lincoln County, is for prevention, property protection, natural resource protection, structural projects as might be needed, emergency services, and then public education and awareness of what our hazards are. Next slide. The key objectives of the plan are to build on our existing regional partnerships and best practices to better protect our community, to update our existing plan reflecting the changing landscape, that being our growth, as well as climate and other issues that keep coming at us. Increase our public awareness. So keep the public informed about what our risks are and what we do to mitigate those. And honestly, the last two are very critical for us. So maintain our grant eligibility. So for emergency management, we are required to have a hazard mitigation plan to qualify for grants post-disaster and pre-disaster. And both of those are in law, so both the federal law and state law requires us to maintain a hazard mitigation plan. Are there any questions for me tonight? Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
So now that Mark's presentation has been presented, I will open the floor for public comment. All right, no one, so I will close public comment again. I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution to adopt the Cleveland Gaston Lincoln Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, I'll make a, okay. So that is approved. We will now move on to U.S. Aging Disaster Relief Funds. Ms. Catherine Sain.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay. All right, I'm here tonight to present this donation that the Lincoln County Senior Services has been awarded. It was awarded from the U.S. Aging Disaster Relief Fund. It was awarded to AAAs due to a AAA membership, and it was filtered to North Carolina AAAs to be dispersed in counties that were directly impacted by Hurricane Helene. We do still have some seniors on the western part of the county that are still struggling with some issues, and so these release funds will go to help them. What we plan on doing is provide food, we can cover utility bills, we can do some small repairs, we can also pay for fuel. So if somebody's out of fuel in their home, they can't heat it, then we can pay for that using these funds. We have also received special approval from the Area Agency on Aging to provide gravel to a resident out in West Lincoln County whose driveway was washed away because of the floodwaters. So it is $5,000. We have until June 30th to use up all those funds. There is no county match, so I just hope that we approve this donation for us.
Anyone have any questions? Ms. Sane?
It's nice that you bring us stuff like this, and you very seldom ask for anything.
Well, no, usually I bring money.
Yes.
The good stuff.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept the U.S. Aging Disaster Relief Funds as presented.
So moved.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Patton. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We will move to item number 6, resolution of intent to permanently close a portion of Prim Road. Did I pronounce that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is the first part of a two-step process to close a portion of Prim Road. Prim Road runs off of Ranger Island Road and essentially dead ends right into the waters of Lake Norman. While at the same time, this road's pavement only goes to within about 200 feet of the water, even though the right-of-way extends all the way to the water. This has been brought before us by one of the residents on the end where the right-of-way is not maintained by DOT, and we've received confirmation from DOT that they have no intent to maintain any other section of that right-of-way. So what this does, this is a resolution to call for a public hearing on April the 7th. And what also happens is if this resolution is approved this evening, we will post Prim Road in 2 conspicuous locations, informing residents of the potential closure of this unopened portion. We will mail all impacted residents certified letters, and we have to publish notice of this resolution in 3 consecutive weeks of a local newspaper. What that sets up is a potential for an order to be adopted by this board on April 7th to do this. So this is very all following a lot of formalities set out by the general statutes. But to kind of reiterate, this is a portion of right-of-way that is not opened, it is not paved, it is not improved. And if abandoned by the county and the state, that right-of-way would be halved by the adjoining property owners. It's a 60-foot right-of-way. Each adjoining property owner would get 30 feet of that right-of-way, and they would have to recombine it back into their parcels. So again, this is just setting up the first part of that process, and a resultant would again be the public hearing and a potential adoption of the order. So are there any questions? This is an odd item to come before y'all. I don't think I've done one in 19 years here. I'll try my best to answer it if you have any questions.
Who brought this?
One of
To your
the
attention.
adjoining property owners, their last name is, I think, McGovern. They reside on the west side of Prim Road. There's 2 other property owners directly impacted. They've been in the loop of these preliminary conversations, but again, we would inform them and other neighbors up along that road and post the property so as many people know about it as possible. I'm sure those signs will trigger several phone calls.
Right.
Andrew, is the area being utilized or is it serving any purpose right now?
It is unmaintained. I mean, if you walked out there right now, you would just think it was part of the neighboring properties. There are sewer lines in that area, low pressure lines. Part of the order, which y'all don't have before you tonight, maintains Lincoln County Public Utilities easements over those areas. But other than some underground the water and sewer lines, there's no above-ground use of the property. Like I said, you would think it was part of the adjoining property.
Any other questions?
Just to add to what Andrew said, the reason y'all don't see these much, if ever, is because this is a process that NCDOT usually does. But since this road's never been open, this portion of it's never been open, NCDOT never took over ownership. And we confirmed with NCDOT that they don't have ownership here, so the county is really the only person who can close this for the benefit of the citizens, so.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution to intent to permanently close portion of Prim Road.
So moved, sir.
All right, Commissioner Cena with the motion. Any discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Yes. Okay, now we will move to public comments. We have two people signed up. We have Shayla Brooks. Did I say that right, or? Okay. If you would state your name and address.
I'm Shalyn Brooks, and I reside at 1133 Southwood Drive in Denver. I, too, have never been to one of these, so you're going to have to excuse my 10-plus slides because I wasn't sure what I was walking into, but I am a newly boutique owner in Denver. We opened October 20th, and my case here is just to request the amending of the ordinance for the prohibited use of windblown flags for businesses, more particularly on the east side of the county. I know many of you are probably familiar with Business 16. For myself, as a boutique owner, we're up in a little cul-de-sac area with a yoga place and an alteration, so not a lot of people know of our location. One of the many questions I get asked. If you continue through the slides, I'll just hit on points. I don't want to take too much of your time. My store is what I take a lot of pride in saying, it's a little bit bougie, right? So we tried to bring some new style to Denver, and we have growing families. It's a children's store. Everything we do from our branding is sophisticated, and I know that you guys probably hear a lot from the opposition of no, take the signs down, and so they've allowed these yard signs, but we've also seen where that can be not very aesthetically pleasing as well. So my goal is to, I've invested in a flag. You can go to the next slide. These are just some points, how other businesses have used them. You can continue on, sorry, I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. Here's the sign, or the flag. You know, I went through a company, they did my logo. To me, a flag sign like this, right, and I know that it says prohibited use, maybe I'm requesting an amending to maybe a business being allowed one sign, whether it be a yard sign or a flag or a temporary use. And you can see here in social media where that's the biggest question is, where are you located? How do we get to you? And so if it's not taking them out onto New 16, we had to redirect all the maps to Business 16. The community is excited about businesses like this coming in. I just wanted to have this sign. The flag goes out during business hours only and comes inside. But my landlord, of course, got a notice. And so I said, I'm going to try to, you know, a lot of other business owners I've talked to also are a little discouraged because we are hidden on 16 there for many of us that aren't, you know, a big, huge building. Next slide. There, and in the last month, since this notice was sent out February 3rd, I have seen a decline in sales upwards to $1,000 in 1 month. And so it just allows people to say, oh, there's a flag, it says open now, that means I can go in there and shop. It's not just a service strip. Next slide. And some of these pictures are just pictures of the boutique, so you can kind of understand where we're going, what other businesses, you know, I have another yoga friend in Denver. We are trying to bring the bougie to Denver. You know, everybody's like, this belongs at Birkdale. And I'm like, well, why? Why are we in Denver just restricted to not having nice retail stores? So, and it helps the county, of course, from tax revenue standpoint and just offerings to the new families in the area. This is one example I drove by today, and I spoke with Mr. Bryant about we can't have a flag, but we're allowed to have what I feel is a, I mean, the one place had 20 yard signs in front of their business. And it really looked like litter to me alongside the road. And I know that there are many people that work to keep that very clean. So next slide. And just again, for small businesses, again, it just reiterates a simple solution if there is one. I know that not everybody's going to have the nice signs. Maybe there's an approval process that can be had here for some businesses, or a temporary solution if they're going to have it out just during the day, during their business hours. Next slide. We have a lot of community events coming up. We like to bring in, we just had Miss North Carolina come in for the children and read stories, and we're looking to do more community events. My biggest thing is going to be challenge, and obviously we can all do social media and marketing all we want, but it's just it's a cost-effective way for us to advertise as a small business that doesn't break the bank, to draw people in. And that takes your guys' support, and I appreciate your time. I don't want to talk too long, and sorry. I probably should have paid better attention at public speaking in college, so sorry.
Oh, you did fine. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next on the list, we have Gunny Hull.
County Commissioners, again, this is Gunny Hull. I'm going to address to you this afternoon a situation that, first I want to, this statement's been made, truth is hate to those that hate the truth, which I'm being challenged all the time by that, but that's okay. It's just part of the nature of what I do. But charged this time, one of the reasons I ran for sheriff, because people are not following the law, and the law was being by officers or others as well. So tonight I'm going to address animal control. So I was charged here last month by animal control. The purpose of this animal chapter is to protect public health and safety, help prevent public animal nuisance, and promote the welfare of animals in Lincoln County. Also, it says, by the definition, that number one is a restraint. A dog is under restraint if it is confined by the curtilage of the owner's residence, is secured by a leash and under control of a responsible person, or is confined within a vehicle in a manner that prevents escape. Number two, tethering or tethering. To restrain the dog outdoors by means of a rope, chain, wire, or other type of line for holding the dog, one end which is fastened to the dog and opposite end which is connected to a stationary object and or to a cable or trolley system. This definition does not include walking a dog with a handheld leash. So I'm going to be out of time, so I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to give to you email copy. I first contacted, or after I got the charge, I refused to receive it from the officers because I told him I did not violate any law. Then I asked him, what law have I violated? He said, I got another call, I got to go. He tried to hand me, he said, I'm not going to charge you formally or whatever, I'm just going to give you a warning. I told him I was not accepting that warning because I had not broke the law. So that was on a Friday. Monday morning I went to the office, they couldn't find it. And the female up front says, I'll have the supervisor to call you. He called me and I talked to him, and he couldn't explain to me what law I broke. He said, I'll have the director to call you. I said, okay, fine. So the director called me. And I asked her again, what law have I violated? She could not actually answer the question either. So I said, send me an email with the law. So she sent me the law on tethering. So the complaint was a person that came by and I was walking my dog with this chain. Okay. Well, I can give you this here, but anyway, this is what I was walking my dog. The director said, was that a commercial leash or was that a commercial tether that you had? Well, one, what difference does it make if it's commercial or not? But this is what I had. I had a dog on each end learning one to walk. So when we can't understand the law and read the law, this is called a leash. This is not called a tether. I was leading the dogs. It was not tied to a tree, a post, or whatever. So, and like I said, I'll give this to you so that you can read what her responses was, what my response was. But it bothers me that when we do not follow the law, we cannot read the law, we don't understand the law, and that gets people in trouble with the law, with judges and officers and everything else, and gets people a rate where we have dangerous situations. So, like I said, it went to 3, an officer, supervisor, and the director, and they all said I was still guilty and the charge is going to stand, even though it's about tethering and not a leash.
That's all right, that's all right.
You need a call. Because you're in charge.
Pretty much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right, if no one else signed up to speak, is there anyone in the room that would like to? Is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak in public comments? All right, I will close public comments. Is there any other business to come before the board at this time?
Just one thing, sir.
All right,
I'd like to thank our clerk and Cliff Brumfield and the folks over at LEDA. We had a meeting there last Friday or so, and at LEDA concerning the Lake Norman Marine Commission. And we had wonderful hosts in LEDA, and as far as I'm concerned, as I've told her before, we've got the best board clerk in North Carolina. She took care of all of us quite well, did the minutes for the meeting, and was very incredibly efficient in what she was doing. And I thank you again.
thank you, Jennifer. Any other business? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Patton. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Meeting is adjourned.